Welcome to the Not Superheroes Just Dads podcast. No, we can't fly. No, we can't shoot lasers or pick up giant buildings. But what we can do is help set the foundations for our families, be present for our kids, and come back generational cycles. On this podcast, we dive into everything dad related, from the struggles we deal with as fathers to what our favorite thing to barbecue is. Hello, I'm Sean Laurie. Hope you guys are having an amazing, blessed day today. Make sure you make sure you subscribe, share, tell a friend. Like always, guys, right? I appreciate the support so much. With that being said, guys, today I want to talk about something just briefly with you guys. At times, right, I do those proud dad moments, right? Just different things to celebrate, and I want to talk about that a little bit further, right? Because we do have those proud dad moments. And something that reminded me of that, honestly, was, my son recently just had a tournament, and he was able to play with a different team this time. And so it was a cool moment for him, right? And but the way that I am at times, I downplay things, right? As wifey will point out to me, I downplay certain moments and things like that, right? And I was thinking to myself, I know I'm probably not the only one that does that, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of times we downplay certain things. And the reason why we might downplay, accomplishment or a goal that our kids might accomplish is because we're focused on the next goal, right? We're focused on the next thing. And the funny thing is, right, I realize that I don't just do that for my kids, I do that for myself as well. I don't do a good enough job, I feel like, at times, celebrating the wins, right? Celebrating those goals that were accomplished. I'm always focused on the next thing, like, hey, I could be better with this, I could be better with that. And I realize I do the same thing a lot of times with my kids. Y'all, I'm very open, right? I'm not perfect by any means. Right, there is no such thing as a perfect parent, but those are things that I realize that I do. And I don't know if it's because of, as you guys know, right, fortunately I wasn't able to grow up with my dad like that, right? So I don't know if it was just something like that. I don't know if it was in a place of feeling like I have to prove myself, or that, I could do more. I think I've operated at times as like the underdog, right? And so I had to sit back and wonder, like, do I do that with my kids, right? Do I celebrate the wins? And I think I do with my daughters, but I don't think I do a good enough celebrating the wins with my sons. Um, and I say that because, for example, like my daughter, which was a huge deal, right, when she got her license for the first time, right? I was so proud of her when she got her first job, going to college, right? That was like an amazing thing. And I celebrated that, right? I was happy for her, even though I hate the fact that she's growing up. But I love that she was able to accomplish that. That was a big milestone, and to be a part of it, right? But then, like my son will make student council, right? Or, he's working hard with basketball, or, he's showing good character and, being respectful. It's almost like I'm operating in a place like, this is what I expect, right? From him. And so I had to really like sit back and think, why? Why is that? Um, and I think it's a lot of times because of the conversations I have, right? If you guys have sons and daughters, right, the conversations are different. So I don't know if it's one of those things. It's like I'm preparing my sons, especially my oldest son, right? I'm preparing him for manhood. I'm preparing him for different obstacles in life. So I don't know if it's one of those things where I'm so busy in teaching mode, right, where I don't celebrate his wins. And the same for me. Like, I don't celebrate the wins, right? I don't celebrate the things that I've done as a father, the things I maybe want to experience growing up that I'm able to make sure my kids experience, right? I don't celebrate those things because it's like, hey, I got to go to the next thing. I got to operate in this space. So I think for me, I think that's something that I had to really reflect on, right? But it's not always about the success either, right? It's about the growth, right? It's about the effort, it's about the maturity. And that's something that I'm happy about. That's something I'm thankful for. But I'm pretty sure many of us as fathers, we don't really look on that for ourselves or maybe our kids. Or it's vice versa, right? We might celebrate our kids, but we don't celebrate ourselves, right? We might look at like, oh man, you're doing much better than I could have did. But you're not looking at it as like, I was able to overcome this situation to provide that type of life for my kids, right? We have those proud dad moments, but we might not have those proud man moments, right? Where we're celebrating the things we accomplish. It could be a raise. It could be, breaking generational cycles, right? It could be able to travel. It could be certain things that we thought we would never be able to do, or maybe we never even experienced it, right? The fact that, and I'm not even just talking about me, but maybe, you move to a whole nother state, right? And started from ground zero, right? Where everyone else stayed in their comfort zone, right? Or whatever the case is. Many fathers don't stop to appreciate those small wins, right? Because like I said, they're always focused on chasing the next goal, not maybe just for their kids, but for themselves, right? And so we just have to be conscious of those, and how those moments remind us, right, that we're doing the work, right? We're doing the work, even when it doesn't feel like it. Even if it feels like, man, you know what, I could have did more, right? With my daughter, again, when I'm helping her, get her license, and doing the work, and and being nervous, right? Like, wifey, she was not trying to be behind the wheel with my oldest at all, but and but doing the work, making sure I'm guiding her and showing her. And even then, even though I'm showing her and helping her be able to get her license, and this was a few years ago, she's been had her license, but being able to get her license, right, I still didn't necessarily know until she got behind the wheel and had her driver's test, right? Because it's different when you have your dad, when you have someone you're comfortable with in the car with you, but when you have a stranger, right? And but again, that's, like I said, that's her growth, where she was able to pass the test and be able to do that milestone. Or with my daughter, like my youngest daughter, right? She's been doing amazing at school and things like that, and top of the class with reading and things like that, right? But I've been having her read, I've been having her do certain things, right, at home. But I don't know the growth because we're so busy doing it. I don't necessarily see the growth like that until others see it. Same thing with my son, right? With basketball, right? I'm so busy just locked into whatever I'm doing. On top of that, I'm coaching the other kids as well, right? So there's times where I'm not even really paying attention to my son. There's other people that's on the outside, like, hey man, no, your son's improving. He's putting the work in. Awesome, great, right? But again, I'm so busy, like, focused on all these other things that at times I don't celebrate it enough. And like I said, especially I feel like with my sons at times, right? Um, but again, that, I guess that ties into the mission as well, right? Where not superheroes, just dads, and it's about being present, which you guys know I always talk about, right? And being intentional in those real wins, right? Like those real milestones, like not to let those pass you by, and be able to celebrate it. I remember it was before my youngest son was born. I had, we went to Disneyland. We went to Disneyland. First of all, Disneyland is expensive as heck now. I just saw recently, like, they boosted the price to something crazy. I don't even know. I just saw it online. I forgot how much it is, but y'all know Disneyland is super expensive. It's not cheap at all, right? But I remember, I think my son was like 3. My youngest daughter was maybe 1, and then my oldest, I want to say, what was she been, like 12 or something like that, right? We all went as a family. Disneyland. I'll be honest with y'all, I'm not a Disneyland person. Not big on Mickey. Don't really get the whole. I don't get the hype. I'll be honest. obviously in grown men, grown women at Disneyland, and they go crazy for Mickey, for Goofy, all that. And for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I think about the money that's being spent, the long lines for the rides. First of all, the rides are mid to me. I'm like, these rides aren't even that great. Don't even, I don't even get that tickle feeling in my stomach, right? like what's the point of this? But with that being said, it was one moment when they had the Disney parade, right? All the characters are going by, and in that moment, I looked at my kids, and I was holding my oldest son at the time, and it felt like time was moving in slow motion. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't even know if anyone has experienced that before, but it was like time was like in slow motion where I see my daughters smiling. I see like my son, like, well, actually I take that back. My youngest wasn't smiling because when she was a baby she didn't really smile like that, but I saw my oldest smiling, and then I saw my oldest son as well cheesing, super excited. And in that moment it was like, it was worth all the long lines. It was worth, being super crowded. It was worth, these rides that I'm not that I'm not really feeling like that, just to see the joy of my kids, right? And that's a win in itself, because I look at it like, man, I don't have no memories like that, like growing up, right? I can't say that because the different circumstances that my dad had to deal with, right? But wasn't able to share those moments. And for me, man, that was such a like surreal feeling, right? And I've only had like maybe two of those feelings where it was really just like, dang, like this is what fatherhood is about, And so I encourage y'all, man, if you're able to ever experience those moments, right? Embrace it, right? Embrace it. Don't get so caught up in, like I was doing at that moment, right? Man, this is costing so much money, or man, I don't really want to be here, or okay, yeah, that's great. You got an A on your math test, but man, you only got a C in your language arts, right? Instead of like, man, celebrating those wins, and really putting an emphasis on it, because you know our kids want our approval, right? Our kids want to make us happy, right? Um, the biggest thing for us as people, right? We want to feel belong. We want to feel approved by our tribe, and our tribe is our family, right? The people we look up to. We don't want to, disappoint our grandparents. We don't want to disappoint our aunts, our uncles, our fathers, our mothers, right? And especially with the fathers, there's something about having the father, right? There's times I met many men where they'll be like, man, I grew up with this type of father, and my father wasn't the type to ever say he was proud of me or something, right? But there was that one moment where he said he was proud of me, and it meant everything to me, right? And it's like, as men, why can't we say we're proud of our kids? Why can't we share those emotions? It's not gonna make our kids soft. It's not gonna mean that we're okay with them. I'll use the test again, right? It doesn't mean we're okay with them getting a C in that language arts. It's just, hey, I'm so proud of you. You did great on that math test. And celebrate that. And then later on, hey, so that just means I know you're also capable of language arts. Well, dad, is hard. Okay, well, let's tackle it together, right? Let's get the growth, what I spoke about earlier, right? Let's improve on that growth. Let's do the effort so we can really grow in this area. Whatever we're weak in, let's make that a strength, right? Let's not let that hold us back. But same for us, right? Same for us to have that gratitude for ourselves, to celebrate those wins. I just want to say, just for us to keep showing up, because our kids notice that, right? Even if they don't say it, like they notice it, right? They know it's like, dang, my dad is doing what he said he was going to do. Dang, my dad went back to school and got that degree. Dang, my dad did, he was able to move up in that company like he said he would. My dad was able to show me how to drive a car, right? Show me how to fish. Show me how to change a tire, right? Like, damn, my dad, right? And they might not see they'll recognize those moments right away, but they will. And for you, like, dang, you know what? No one showed me how to change the tire, how to learn myself. Hey, that again, that's something, be grateful for, man. Like, hey, I was able to teach myself and teach my kids. Now, I've also heard that saying from men where it's like, you know what, I shouldn't be celebrated to for doing what I'm supposed to do. I understand that, but at the same time, even the most toughest dude in the world, wants recognition, wants to feel respected, right? As men, the biggest thing we want is what? Is respect, right? We want to know that we're being respected and that, in a sense too, like they were being appreciated, right? We want to feel appreciated and we want to feel respected. If that's not the case, then why would we want the women in our lives to do that, right? You don't want a woman not to respect you. You don't want a woman that you're with to not show gratitude for the things you're doing, right? If she's able to work from home, you want her to be appreciate the fact that you're able to provide that type of life for her, right? Or, if you guys are able to travel, you want her to be like, dang, like, you know what, like, I know we're in Jamaica, but why I wish we was at this hotel instead, right? No, it's gonna be like, dang, like I put this work in and she doesn't care. So the 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 lies we tell ourselves at times is like we don't need gratitude, or we don't, need to know that we're doing a good job. And I'm saying for ourselves, right? Like, because in the end of the day, our kids being successful, our kids accomplishing things is the biggest wins for us, right? So we're thankful for that. But it also is nice for our kids when they get older to be like, dang, dad, like, thank you for showing me this, right? Or thank you, dad, for providing this type of life for me. Or thank you, dad, for, always being that voice for me, or pointing me in the right direction, or being that example, right? And we're constantly trying to strive for that. So, I think that's something that we gotta understand. And that's why for me I'm so big on being supportive and building this community for each other, right? Which I still want to build up to a certain, it's still not to a level where I want it to be, but I got to again celebrate the wins, right? Like, look, I was about to be negative on myself, like, man, I gotta get to the next goal. But celebrate the wins of, hey, there's been fathers that's reached out to me and told me, like, thank you, bro, for what you're doing. This has helped me a lot. Thank you, bro. I'm tuning in, every chance I get. Or, man, I got to catch up on some episodes, but every time I get a chance, it's something that I needed, right? I could operate in a place of it's not enough, or I can operate in a place of, you know what, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and as long as I keep doing that, it's going to continue to grow, right? And so I just want to share that with you guys, and encourage you guys, man, to enjoy those proud dad moments for your kids and for yourself, to be able to really figure out, okay, where am I at in my life, and let me look how far I've accomplished. Because again, we're so busy on the go, right? We're just going, that we're not looking back like, dang, you know what? I'm so glad I got out of that toxic relationship, or I'm so glad I got out of that toxic work environment, or I'm so glad that, I stepped out and left my job and went back to school, or left that job, start that business. Like, it was scary, but look how far I've came, right? Look what I've accomplished over the years. Because if you look back at your life, you'll be able to look back and be like, man, I got through this, I got through this, I got through this. But we're so busy living, we're so busy trying to make sure we're providing for our family, making sure that we're doing the things that's necessary. Again, as men, right, we're providers. We should be doing these things, but we don't sit back and reflect and be like, dang, you know what, I did that, right? Like, I did that. Like, thank you, God. Like, I was able to get through that storm. For a while, I didn't think I would, because we all go through those moments where it feels like the walls is closing in, right? We go through those moments where it feels like everything is going wrong. And in those moments, it seems like it's forever. Like, it could be 2 months, but those 2 months feel like it's forever. And then when things are going good, we're just so busy going, right, that we're not even thinking about it. And we don't look back at it like, damn, I remember I was in a position where I didn't have a car. I remember I was in a position where I didn't have a roof over my head, where I didn't know where my next meal was going to be. dang, look where I'm at now. We don't reflect enough and have, like I said, those proud man moments, right? Still have those proud dad moments, but have those proud man moments for ourselves as well. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys because that's something that was on my heart, something that, again, I got to do better with as well, right? Not only having, celebrating those proud dad moments, but also having those proud moments for myself and celebrating me and celebrating my wins. Because people around me tell me all the time I need to do better with that. And that's something I'm challenging myself to do. And that's something whoever's listening, whoever's struggling with that, man, I'm challenging you to do the same. I'm challenging you to celebrate those wins, right? And because when we don't celebrate those wins, all of a sudden we don't know why, but we're in the place of, man, we might get a little depressed, or the anxiety is really just tearing us up because we're too busy just focusing on man, if I don't do this, or why I didn't do this, or right? We're just reflecting on things we need to do or we could have did instead of things we've already accomplished. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Again, I appreciate you guys like always. And you don't have to be perfect, but you always have to be present. See you guys on the next one.